Many terrors dwell in the lands charted by the Hunters Guild and the Royal Academy. While the ability to devastate ecosystems and upend the natural order is most commonly associated with elder dragons, it is a power possessed by more monsters than one might think. These so-called Elder Dragon level monsters are no less terrifying than true dragons. A fact perhaps best exemplified by this group's most infamous member. The World Eater itself, the violent wyvern, the Deviljho. Standing at a height of 7 meters and a length of 20 meters, this brute wyvern stands out immediately due to its size and bulk. Indeed, it is not inaccurate to say that the Deviljho is essentially an enormous mass of muscle assembled in the rough shape of a brute wyvern. Said muscles are so dense and powerful that they require almost constant nutrition to maintain. In addition, a Deviljho's body temperature is perpetually high in order to allow for the high level of muscular activity inherent to this species, which is another massive energy drain. And from such a monstrous energy requirement comes a truly demonic appetite. The Deviljho is a hyper-carnivore that preys on just about anything it can find. Naturally, it devours herbivores, but other predators and wyverns are just as likely to end up on the World Eater's menu. The Deviljho is also notable for being one of the very few flightless monsters that can reliably prey on flying wyverns. It is even said that some daring individuals may attempt to feed on elder dragons. Hunger and ambition such as this are only possible when paired with formidable strength and power, which the Deviljho, shockingly, possesses. For many targets, the Deviljho's massive bulk and physicality are enough, as the wyvern crushes prey to death with its heavy body. The Deviljho is known for its extreme aggression and violent behavior, but it has also been noted to be quite intelligent despite its brutish appearance. Intelligent and cruel. These wyverns have on occasion been observed killing other monsters without eating them, seemingly just taking a life for the thrill of it. In some cases, Deviljho were observed actively searching for the nests of other monsters and squatting in them. As soon as the residents of the nest returned, these Deviljho would then slaughter them on the spot and splatter their insides across their own nests. In other observations, researchers watched Deviljhos grab still living prey into their jaws and parade them around for days, the wriggling, tormented victim a trophy on display for all that would question the World Eater's might. Violence on this level requires specific adaptations that allow for it, and the Deviljho is blessed with many of them. Aside from its musculature and size, the Deviljho's main weapons are its jaws. The muscles that power them are enormous, and the bite force of a Deviljho is enough to crush rocks into dust. It is believed that the Deviljho's bite initially evolved as a way to penetrate the shells of armored herbivores, overshooting that target function and becoming overwhelmingly strong as a result. A Deviljho can bite through just about anything, and some individuals have even been observed using their jaws to dislodge and launch large boulders from the earth itself. Of course, the bite's power does not exclusively come from the muscles. A Deviljho's maw is covered in rows of massive, triangular teeth that pierce into flesh mercilessly. These teeth regrow infinitely for as long as the wyvern lives, with older teeth being pushed out of the mouth and onto the Deviljho's chin and face, giving the head its distinct spiked look. While the external teeth do add further deadliness to the Deviljho's bites, they can also become a hazard for the wyvern itself if they spread too much. Thus, a Deviljho will regularly break off its oldest teeth by rubbing its face against the ground. The resulting markings are telltale signs of a Deviljho's presence. In addition to all of this, the Deviljho also produces corrosive saliva. Believed to have developed as a means to soften the armors of prey, this acidic compound drips from the wyvern's maw and melts the defenses of its victims, adding to the severity of its bite. It is perhaps no surprise then that a Deviljho goes largely unopposed. That being said, even this wyvern must sometimes face adversaries that can meaningfully challenge it, be it a fellow monster or a hunter. In such cases, the Deviljho unveils its secret weapon. As the wyvern's anger grows and it faces additional hardship, the body's blood circulation increases violently. This causes the already enormous muscles to bulge and expand, becoming massive bulbous mounds on the wyvern's body that glow faintly with the presence of hot blood. In this so-called muscle expansion state, the Deviljho wields even more destructive power than usual. Such a boost does not come free, however. The violent expansion of the muscles tears the skin of the beast apart, reopening old wounds and shredding its hide. This is exactly as painful as it sounds, and the ravaged wounds of a Deviljho are one of its few weak points. But in exchange for such pain, the wyvern is granted nearly unparalleled destructive power when its muscles are expanded. Few creatures can hope to survive the onslaught of an enraged Deviljho. And even this is not the full extent of the Deviljho's might. In its muscle expansion state, this brute wyvern displays the extraordinary ability to manifest and control the dragon element, a mysterious energy only rarely seen in nature. It remains unknown how the Deviljho can produce this elemental energy, as no specialized organs for it have ever been found in its body. The dragon element simply seems to course through the Deviljho once it enrages. The wyvern can weaponize this element in two main ways. By allowing the dragon element to flow through its muscles, the physical strength of the Deviljho increases even further. And if an enemy keeps their distance, a Deviljho may choose to expel the dragon element as a destructive breath attack, characterized by black vapor illuminated by red lightning. Feats such as these make the Deviljho an overwhelming threat in any ecosystem it appears in. Consequently, it is feared far and wide for its power and endless appetite. One famous tale of the Deviljho describes it invading an unnamed region and driving many of its endemic species to extinction by devouring them. eventually causing the entire ecosystem to collapse. It is in fact legends like these that have placed the Deviljho on par with elder dragons in many people's minds. Such fanciful horrors have to, however, be tempered by an understanding of the Deviljho as a real creature of flesh and blood. While its hunger can absolutely lead it to decrease prey populations to dangerously low numbers, the Deviljho is primarily a nomadic predator. It wanders from region to region, never staying in one area for too long. Their bodies are in fact specially evolved to this lifestyle, as they can rapidly adapt to the environmental conditions of whatever habitat the Deviljho happens to invade at any given time. This can go as far as allowing them to shrug off hazards such as lava or noxious gases after spending a short time adapting to those circumstances. Considering its specialization for a nomadic lifestyle and frequent migratory behavior, a Deviljho is unlikely to stay in one area for long enough to cause irreversible damage to the ecosystem. And while reports of Deviljho severely impacting regions do occur, they are actually quite rare. Evidently, compelling as it may seem to cast the Deviljho as an unyielding force of voracious destruction, reality is much more nuanced. Despite their reputation, these wyverns are not even active in perpetuity. Deviljho go through a cycle in which periods of intense hunger give way to periods of passive satiety, in which the wyvern is much calmer and less violent. This cycle is controlled by a small hormonal organ that tells the Deviljho when it has eaten enough, a mechanism that seems to primarily serve as a way to allow the Deviljho to reproduce. When a Deviljho is satiated, its body will produce a hormone that calms them down, which is crucial for social behavior. If two Deviljho meet while either one of them is in its hungry phase, they will kill each other almost immediately. But while in the satiated period of its cycle, a Deviljho is amenable to interacting peacefully with its own kind. It is only in these cases that Deviljho are able to mate. Opportunities like these, when two Deviljho are both pacified and ready to reproduce, are as vital as they are rare. These terrible wyverns lead short lives, with many of them dying in battle not long after reaching maturity. Thus, every chance to carry on their genetic lineage is profoundly precious. The assertion of the Deviljho's short lifespan did open up a fascinating academic question within the halls of the Royal Academy. What happens when a Deviljho survives for an abnormally long time? The answer manifested itself in a most terrible manner during a research expedition. A team of hunters and scholars had been dispatched into the tundra to observe a Deviljho from afar. But the observation team recorded anomalous behavior almost immediately. This Deviljho individual seemed to fight and kill without thought or reason, feeding endlessly without ever seeming satisfied. The research team had to eventually abort the investigation after 4 of the hunters were critically injured by this mysterious wyvern. In the end, the Deviljho expedition only lasted 9 days, at the end of which the head researcher proposed to classify the anomalous individual they had encountered as a variant, a so-called savage Deviljho. Most of the descriptive definition of such a variant is derived from that first sighting by the expedition team. Savage Deviljho appear larger than regular individuals, but that is merely a byproduct of the fact that these variant wyverns are always in their muscle expansion state. The scales of a Savage Deviljho are notably darkened, and the hide is entirely covered in a slimy amalgam of dried blood and crushed tissue. A Savage Deviljho's blood is itself black in color. This already covers all of the visual differences between a regular and a variant Deviljho. For the most part, a Savage Deviljho's body is identical to that of a regular specimen. It would be some time before the truth behind the Savage Deviljho would be uncovered, and it was understood to be the answer to the matter of a Deviljho's lifespan. While the mechanism that produces such a variant wyvern is complex, it always starts the same way: when the satiety organ of a Deviljho ceases to function. This happens, for example, if a Deviljho is able to live past its natural limits. These elderly Deviljho lose the ability to feel satiated and become erratic and violent, dying soon after from their own madness. It is now believed that this process is in fact a natural limiter on the wyvern's lifespan, forcing them to die if they live too long. Another way for the satiety organ to fail is for it to be destroyed in battle. Either way, once this organ has failed, the Deviljho is usually as good as dead. Its own recklessness and madness ensure its downfall soon after. But in some cases, another path reveals itself if such a deranged Deviljho meets one of its kin. Since these pitiful individuals do not have a functioning satiety organ anymore, their bodies also can no longer produce the calming hormone that would usually mitigate intraspecies conflict. Thus, a deranged Deviljho will immediately cannibalize its own brethren if it encounters them. Cannibalism is not unheard of in this species, but when performed by a Deviljho that has been driven mad by hunger, an unusual interaction occurs. As it feeds on its kin, the starving Deviljho also ingests all of the dragon element its victim had in its body at the time of death. This draconic surplus then fails to assimilate into the cannibal's reserves correctly. It is theorized that managing the absorption of additional dragon element is a mentally strenuous process, and that the deteriorating psychological state of a starving Deviljho cannot endure it. Whatever the cause may be, the ingested dragon element reacts with the stored dragon element of the cannibal individual and explodes in a violent torrent that engulfs the entire body. This is the moment a Savage Deviljho is truly born. The madness caused by the Savage Deviljho's endless hunger and the volatile flow of dragon element is a match made in hell. Due to them being constantly empowered by the dragon element, the muscles of a Savage Deviljho consume even more energy than usual, further increasing its hunger. And that hunger is even more insatiable than ever before, due to the high reactivity of the dragon element. A vast majority of the calories that a Savage Deviljho consumes are instantly assimilated into its dragon element reserves, leaving next to nothing for the rest of the agonized body. In addition to this, the inherent volatility of this draconic energy means that any movement the Savage Deviljho makes carries the risk of further igniting the torrents of dragon element within it, creating a terrible feedback loop wherein the beast's hunger can never be satisfied, its madness can never be quelled, and its power can never be calmed. And so, the savage Deviljho wanders, a spectre of maddening hunger that destroys anything it sees. Nothing is spared this variant's wrath, be they prey, other predators, or humans. The savage Deviljho knows nothing but combat and death. These deranged wyverns engage in never-ending turf wars with other monsters, their fatigue being completely overruled by their starving agony. And it is during such battles that a savage Deviljho may reach criticality. If anything irritates or enrages the already insane wyvern, its dragon element production spikes aggressively, creating a flow of energy that multiplies itself so explosively that it begins to leak out of the body and enshroud the front part of the savage Deviljho. This is the savage Deviljho's dragon fortification state, the apex of its ill-gotten power. Once transformed like this, the variant wyvern wields even greater strength, even more profound control over the dragon element, and even deeper anger and insanity. As if to signal the complete loss of reason, the shroud of dragon element is at its densest around the face, nearly entirely consuming it and turning it into a dark cloud through which only two merciless eyes peer in crimson wrath. In this state, the flow of dragon energy is so dense that even just being near the creature can erode one's tissue and vitality. Naturally, even such an overwhelmingly powerful creature has its weaknesses. Since the savage Deviljho's dragon element is running out of control, it does not provide it with any additional protections, and instead reacts violently to elemental attacks, making the creature especially vulnerable to electricity. Additionally, a savage Deviljho is running on fumes, and while it is a terrifying creature, its own power and violence are ultimately instruments of a prolonged suicide. These wyverns do not live long once they reach this stage. Nevertheless, it is no exaggeration to say that a savage Deviljho poses a devastating threat to all ecosystems. Such a variant can appear out of nowhere, and, as the Discovery Expedition evidenced, the transformation into such a variant can occur in as little as 9 days. Due to the unpredictability and power of this monster, the Hunters Guild has decreed that any hunter that encounters a savage Deviljho should prioritize immediate retreat. Additionally, research authority regarding this variant has been transferred to the Dragon Watch, an allied organization that generally only studies elder dragons. But even this might not be enough to adequately prepare humanity for the potential worst-case scenario on the horizon. Scholars from the New World have noted that Deviljho populations on that continent display many muscular and physical mutations that closely match the alterations seen in variant individuals. In other words, it has been proposed that New World Deviljho are in the process of evolving in such a way that would allow them to wield the full power of a savage Deviljho without any of the downsides or weaknesses, and that this evolution could essentially occur at any moment. Thank you all so much for watching. As always, I hope you have a good time. I would like to, as usual, extend special thank yous to everyone who supports the channel financially, either via Patreon or YouTube channel memberships. A very special thank you to Admiral Frost, Alistair in Wonderland, Andrew, Artur Centeno, Autumns, Big Mac, Black Ace 202, B, Bruggy, Carcerion, Chocolate Coat, Claire Miboon, Coomer Noob, Darkest, Destro, Dracovane, Dragonlord, Dissy, Echo but Evil, Ethan Toombs, Feopuz, Glitch NPC, Grüße an Mama, Harpier, Hellbug Hunter, Hudsan, I'm just happy to be here, Iron Camo, It's Robin Now, Jacob Coleman, Joey Tribby 58, Jonathan Ginsberg, Carl de Crab, Kelly Barnett, Kogath, Lieferdienst, Logan Bilodeau, Lone Strider, Lufish, M1 Have 1 2, Macaroni Leviathan, Makamawi, Magenta Magenta, Makot 02, Matt Hat 124, Meta Defiance, Mr. Pyramid, Molly Mockery, Muhammad Avdol, My Name Gone, Nico Soleil, Nils Schlatter, Noah Schanz, Oakwood Tree, Paige Gandalf Soda, Pancake Poppy, Person 212, Precum King, Panonym, Quali, Quixotic Metroid 906, Rambling Robin, Raspberry, Regal Eagle, Resident Neko Arc, Ronger 97, Rose, Ryan Hook, Skiba, Shebo, Silly Wizard 97, Siragon, Sir Newt Newt, Soruka, Spark Drake, Tacty Wolf, The Alchemist, The Iciest Man Alive, The Dollarfish, 3 Palicos in a Trench Coat, Tigrex Chew Toy, Toby Kadachi's OnlyFans, Tsuki Midnight Boshi, Unk with Good Puss, Uthduna is an Octopus, Vulgar Beast, Wandering Soul, Wolf of Time, Zafi, Zeno Garcia, Zion H.E. Augenson, and Kuroneko. Take care, everyone. I'll see you around next time. Bye-bye.